Greetings from the Library Cavern. I am Aspen Dracaena, your friendly neighbor at Ice Dragon Bookwyrm VTuber, and it's so cold. There's so much snow outside. There is a snowbank outside that is so high that if I walked into it, it would cover my head. So, yeah, we got a lot of snow. We got a lot of snow. So hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. I just finished watching all of Stranger Things today. I may talk a little bit about it. It's so cold. It was a -20 wind chill 3 days ago. You don't say. True. Yeah. It's a surprise, isn't it? Totally a surprise. Anywho, yeah, so I finished watching Stranger Things today. I might talk a little bit about it and try to be as spoiler-free as possible. Because, the last season just finished, so I don't want to spoil it for people. I've been super busy. I just kind of had a huge task fall in my lap, so I have been editing. And I have to get it done speedily. So, I've been really busy, and it makes it a little harder to do my job hunt, which sucks. So, all right. Digi says, okay, so saw your post on season 5, and I just want to say, glad I'm not the only one that didn't jump on, this season sucks train. Yeah. I think season 4 was so good that it was hard to top it. So, but I don't think it was bad. I don't think season 5 was bad at all. I do feel like it suffered from the Lord of the Rings, Return of the Kings ending, where there were multiple endings. I thought, I was watching last night, and I got near the end, or at least what I thought was the end. I'm like, wait a moment, it's not over yet. There's still half an hour left. And so that was, it felt like they may have overextended themselves when it came to the ending, and they wanted to give every character an ending, and maybe they could have condensed it a little bit. But I don't think the season sucked. I think it was good at bringing together stuff from all the other seasons, to, make it all make sense. But I don't think it was terrible. It's just hard to beat season 4 because season 4 was so good. All right. Anyway, so yeah, after watching Stranger Things, this looks terrifyingly cute. Even the music is cutesy for this game. So let's just see what happens. I am completely blind to this. It is a demo. It looks like some kind of cute little story game about love and farming. And I guess we'll just get started. It looks very, very cute. Okay, come on. There we go. There we go. What is my name? Aspen. Confirm. Are you sure this is the name you want? Yes. Honestly, given... Oh, this is a little loud. Honestly, given everything that it was leading up to, what were people expecting? I thought it did a great job wrapping things up. I love how they left spoiler the way it was. They said why it had to happen. I agree with it. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. I think that they did everything that they could do. They brought back pieces of all the seasons and put it and weaved it together in a way that made sense. They had frickin' Linda Hamilton on it. I mean, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think it was what it had to be. All right, so let's go. New start, prologue. So I closed my eyes to old ends and opened my heart to new beginnings. Nick Fredrickson. I don't know who Nick Fredrickson is. All right, let's go. I'm afraid I may... Oh gosh, I'm going to have to do voices, aren't I? I swallow a lump forming in my throat as my boss slowly brings his gaze up to meet mine. Uh-oh.
You're fired!
I do not need to hear that today. Totally right, Digi. The Duffers said what had to happen. It had to happen to be a symbol for growing up, and it fits. So, and I will say this, as somebody who has written a horror comedy that is actually a allegory for growing up, a coming of age story, I agree. And I thought the last bit of the ending was beautiful. Yeah. You sure you didn't get a dating sim? You're fired. Never mind. Yeah. Maybe it's you get fired from your job sim. What? If this is the type of work you deem worthy enough to submit to us after such a lenient deadline, then I honestly don't have much else to say to you. Oh, God. Oh, God. This game is already starting off feeling like it's my life. It's a little too real. The last scene with the last crying, that was real. I can believe that. I can believe that. But, boss, wait. I can resubmit a new draft or make any changes necessary. But, what exactly is wrong with the current proposal? I thought that...
Everything!
I can't help but gulp as my boss narrows his eyes at me, slamming his hands on the desk. This guy's watched too much Apprentice. I watch as he coldly taps on my art proposal before clearing his throat. This is not the level nor quality of work we expected when we hired you as the lead artist for this project, Miss Aspen.
It's almost as if you deem this position to be a joke of sorts.
Wow. This guy's mean. Sir, I can assure you that is most definitely not the case. The urgency in my voice pitches my volume higher, and I can't help but tense up in my chair. It isn't like that at all. I was beyond overjoyed and truly honored to be chosen for this project. I admit that perhaps my art's quality has not been the highest as of late, but I can change that, please. Allow me to resubmit a new... No. And this is not something to be discussed. Desperation rises in my chest as I feel panic settle into my stomach, and I unconsciously stand up and bow my head. Sir, please, I'm begging you. I cannot afford to lose this position right now. The reason I haven't been able to concentrate is because I'm in the process of getting evicted. My apartment complex suddenly announced their demolition plans, and I've been swamped, attempting to find a new place and finish this proposal, but I swear to you I can...
Tell me, why is it that your excuses are always more creative than your art pieces?
Oh! Oh, that's mean. My heart feels like it stopped in my chest as I stare at the pair of ice-cold eyes staring back at me. For a moment, I feel like a deer peering into bright, fast-approaching headlights, seconds from a tragic fate. I can only watch my boss open his mouth once again, grabbing my proposal in the process.
Perhaps you should have become a writer instead, if you're so good at coming up with stories.
Excuse me, I am a writer.
However...
We need an artist, not a writer. One that can deliver work, not excuses. I can feel my blood run cold as I watch my boss slowly grab my art proposal. The very same proposal I had stayed up working day and night on for the last several weeks. The very same one that just a few hours ago I was so proud of.
Your proposal was... garbage. For lack of a better word.
What? He's so mean! I hope you will come to realize that as an artist. He narrows his eyes as he opens the cover of my proposal one last time, before looking back up at me and throwing it in the trash. You are an easily replaceable asset in such a competitive industry. If you're going to spend more time fabricating excuses rather than meeting a client's minimal expectations, then perhaps you should have considered a different career choice. I know, right? Right, Panda?
You're not an artist. You're an amateur.
And this company is not looking to employ amateurs. We are looking to employ professionals. One that you have already been replaced with. He replaced me already? That is so mean. Actually, I don't think in reality it happens that... Oh my gosh, shiitake mushrooms. It's like, squirrel. Yufuku. Jewelry, healing, movie theater, capoeira. Capoeira. Okay. Sorry. I can't help but rub my temples as it feels like the heaviest, longest sigh of my life escapes me as I yawn. I watch as all sorts of people stream like ants throughout the city streets, each with their own destinations in mind. Eventually, I can't do much else and opt to stare into a lukewarm cup of coffee in front of me. Fired and getting called garbage right to your face, huh? Definitely not how I expected my weekend to start. My heart feels heavy as I look up from my drink to gaze out at a clear blue sky that seems to stretch on forever amidst towering skyscrapers. And to think of how beautiful a day it is today, it almost feels like the world's mocking me somehow. My attention is diverted when I hear the sound of a child laughing. My eyes trail over to a young boy tugging his mother's arm with one hand and clutching a small sketchbook in another as the pair sit down at a table near my own. Ah, Peachleaf was a Kickstarter game. At that point, I would just curse the guy out. Already lost my job. What else will I have to lose? You're kind of right there, Wit. He opens the sketchbook, flipping to a page of a specific drawing before suddenly jumping up on the chair. The mother laughs as she watches her son strike the same pose as the crayon-colored character before her. Dang! They made like 4 times as much as they were looking to get for a goal. Nice. Oh, and this is Thunderman. I drew him during recess when everyone else was outside. Huh. Why, he's so handsome. Look at all these details. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Munchkin. You're getting so good at drawing. Thanks, Mommy. When I grow up, I want to become an artist and draw my own superheroes. Oh, you're going to be a great artist, sweetie. I just know it. You're already so talented and you work so hard. What else could you need? I feel my grip on my coffee cup tighten as I watch the beaming child show his mom more and more sketches in his notebook. The sparkled look of joy, hope, and happiness that beams in his eyes. It's one I remember well. I can't help but swallow the forming lump in my throat as I grab my drink and slam it into a nearby trash can. As I walk away from the tables, I shake my head sadly as the mother and son's laughter echoes in my ears and my heart. Don't be stupid, kid. As much as we all want it to be that way, the truth is, hard work doesn't guarantee anything in the real world. The only thing it'll earn you is realizing just how stupid those dreams of yours once were. For your sake, I hope along the path of life you find something else that can make you smile like that. Because art just isn't worth it. Take it from me. So this is why I always try to treat the artists that we work with at the press really well. Nobody should have their dreams diminished. Without uttering a word, I quickly walk away to escape watching a shadow of what I once used to be too. The shadow of a happy, dreaming kid who loved what she did more than anything. The shadow of a person who doesn't exist anymore. I know, right? Disillusionment the game. This is sad. Let's get to something happy. Please. There's a thing and oh, there's things. What? Oh, okay. That's to go back to the main menu. And that's to the settings. Okay. It's Downtown Street. Look, it's Downtown Street. Oh, and a, looks like a Sanrio. Fake Ranrio. Milky Way. Looks like it's a pachinko place. I appreciate the detail in the backgrounds. It's kind of nice to see that. My feet carry me down familiar city streets as the evening sun begins to set and golden hues illuminate the sky. But before I have a moment to take in the uplifting sight, an email notification from my phone commands my attention. Dear Miss Aspen, this is an urgent reminder. Please be aware that you have 3 days to vacate the premise at 302 New Street Lane. The demolition of the complex will begin Monday morning at sunrise. All tenants and belongings must be removed by then. Any and all belongings that still remain in the property by next Monday will be considered garbage and thrown away. Please act accordingly. Monday? What? That's impossible! I gawk at my phone as I stop to read the full email, earning a few strange glances from the other passerby. My heart races in my chest as I frantically dial my landlord's number. After a few moments, a voice picks up.
Hello, this is Frank speaking.
Frank? Frank, this is Aspen from apartment 302. I just got an email from the complex saying that demolition begins Monday morning? How's that possible when barely a week ago you told me I had another month to move? You know, I can picture an AI bro playing and going, see, this is why I got AI knows how propensity. Yeah. Did she? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. About that,
Sorry.
for the confusion, but there's been a, slight change in the plan.
Oh, God. We have a scuzzy landlord, too. A bad boss and a scuzzy landlord. What? What are you talking about? Yeah, you see, the company that brought the complex wants to start building a water park on it ASAP. And while the original agreement said a month...
The CEO called me yesterday and offered me $500,000 to start next week. Can you believe it?
Oh, God. What?
I know! Ain't that something? So, yeah, you gotta get out of there.
Frank, are you crazy? How am I supposed to find a place to live and move into in 3 days? It's Friday.
Yeah, I understand and all that, but, money talks, baby.
Oh my God. Sorry about the short notice, but I'll need you out pronto. But Frank.
Oh, got another call coming in. Ain't much more to discuss, sweetheart. Deal's a deal.
By Monday morning, I need you out of there. No ifs, ands, or buts. I scream out in frustration as the call drops and I can only gawk into my phone. By Monday? Where the hell am I supposed to go? I just got laid off, for God's sake. Taking notice of the passing strangers and nearby security guards shooting me curious glances. I feel my cheeks flush red in embarrassment. I clear my throat as I continue walking forward. This game is trauma! I need to calm down or I'm going to risk getting arrested at this point too. But hell, at least I'll have a rent-free place to stay by Monday. Just as I attempt to just calm myself by heaving a few deep breaths, my stomach lets out a disturbed growl. I rub my belly as I glance at the time. Don't look up, can your pet? Oh no. And to top it all off, I haven't even been eating properly trying to meet that stupid deadline. What was it even for in the first place? Maybe I should just grab some fast food, go home, and try to plan out how exactly I'm going to survive the next 72 hours. Oh my gosh! Did I just get isekai'd? As I barely take a step forward, a speeding car honks angrily at me, causing me to quickly tumble backwards in an attempt to dodge it. An angry-looking man lowers down his window as he flashes me the finger.
Hey, what the hell? Watch where you're going, lady!
You know, this looks like Japan, but I feel like I'm in New York right now. That's my line, you jerk. Where'd you learn how to drive? I can't help but let out a shaky breath as I watch the driver flip me off again before angrily taking off. Okay, that's 3 bad things that have happened. Something good needs to happen now. I look down to catch a sight of myself on the floor, now with a few bleeding scratches adorning my hands and knees. I glance up to see people passing by left and right, but no one bothers to help me. Not so much as even spare me a glance. As I look up at the looming buildings on both sides of me, I can't tell what suddenly feels colder, the concrete of the floor or the hearts of the people in this city. I let out what feels like the millionth sigh today as I wrap my arms around my frame from the chilly night air that's begun to settle in. As my apartment complex finally comes into view, I can't help but stop in place. Home sweet home, huh? Well, not for much longer anyways. As I reach for my keys, I catch sight of a wooden sign that seems oddly out of place, resting against a street light next to me. Can it be Hope? Semi-annual farmers market, last sunrise to sundown, today only. I raise an eyebrow in the direction of the sign points. Let me correct myself there. I raise an eyebrow to the direction the sign points as I tilt my head toward the entrance of a nearby park. Farmers market? Hey, it's a farmers markets are nice. I didn't even know this happened in this kind of city. But maybe they'll have something cheap and good that I can grab for lunch tomorrow. Just about anything's better than that nasty burger I had for dinner. Ugh. With newfound interest, I decide to make my way towards the park. As I walk into the park, we have farmers market every summer on the square. They're great. We even get businesses from Wisconsin. Yeah, I really like farmers markets. Panda can tell you we've gotten some good food from the farmer's market up where I used to live. As I walk into the park, the realization of what time it is hits me as I watch people finishing moving large tents and baskets into the trucks. Damn, I missed it. I didn't realize how late it had already gotten. That sign was probably up way earlier today, huh? Yay, more expired ramen for lunch it is. What a menu. Oh my god, if you have to eat expired ramen, that's pretty sad. Deciding to at least walk off the 90% grease, 10% burger I grabbed for dinner, I stroll down the venue and spot various folks still packing. The rustic and humble-looking stalls of fruits and vegetables being sold grab my attention, but what intrigues me more is the people packing them. I watch as these vendors, most of whom are dressed in simple worn clothes and mismatching colors, laugh and joke amongst each other. Many are covered in sweat and dirt from a hard day's work, but the look on their faces is what really captures my attention. Why do they look so happy? Despite the visible weariness of the day, almost every face I can spot is graced by an expression of utmost joy. As they chat amongst each other and continue packing, one would assume that perhaps they had the best sales day of their lives. But the many carts of unsold fruit and vegetables in the back of several trucks dictates otherwise. They seem so genuinely happy. I can't help but feel a little jealous. As I smile sadly and continue walking forward, I almost near the end of the long street. Suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, a big sign decorated with vibrant flowers catches my attention. Help wanted. Various positions open at Peachleaf Valley. Here we go, we get a new job on the farm. Leave the city life behind and have a fresh new start in the countryside. I find my eyes transfixed on the words written before me. For some reason, I can't help but read the sign over and over again, almost as if waiting for the words to sink into me. Leave the city life behind and have a fresh new start in the countryside? I can only blink blankly as I mumble the line out loud. But the sudden sound of approaching footsteps distracts me. I turn to look into the face of a short old man with a funny-looking mustache. The man shoots me a kind smile as he places a small crate of flowers down next to him before motioning toward the sign.
Evening there, missy.
Aw, he's
I'm
cute.
afraid you're a bit late for the market.
Aw, cute old man.
It seems you might have missed all the good deals, but, well, are you interested in hearing more about the valley by chance?
Yes. As if his question snaps me back into reality, I find myself instinctively shaking my head as I step back. Oh, no, sorry, I was just taking a look. I'll be going now.
Is that so? Well, all right then.
Have yourself a good night, young lady. Oh, and here. What a pretty rose. I can't help but blink twice as the old man holds up a pretty flower to my face. Is he the one we're dating? The same type as the ones filling the crates next to him. Is he our future boyfriend? I'm sorry, I don't really have any money on me, and...
Now.
Gifts aren't meant to be paid for, you know? At his warm words and cheerful expression, I can't help but smile shyly as I take the vibrant blooming flower from his hand. Thank you. It's very beautiful. Are you sure you're not playing a silver fox dating sim, right? Ain't it? Now go on and make sure you take an extra blanket to bed with you. It's getting awfully chilly these nights around here.
Wouldn't want you catching the sniffles for fun.
No. I nod my head as he shoots me a wave before turning around to continue loading more crates into the back of a small truck. As I turn around and continue my stroll forward, an appreciative smile forms on my lips. I bring the flower to my nose. A sweet, gentle scent fills my senses, and I can't help feel my smile grow. You know, this is like the most beautifully illustrated anything on the screen right now. It's so pretty. You know, that's probably the nicest conversation I've had in weeks. I secretly glance back at the old man as he waves over at another vendor while beaming a giant smile. The sign that I was previously so fixated on seems to glow as a beam of moonlight reflects off of it. I look down at the small flower in my hand as I twirl it. Just leave everything behind and start a brand new life in a little valley town, huh? Even just thinking about it seems so crazy. Almost like it's not even real. I just can't even imagine it. My pace eventually slows down as I stop completely. A few moments pass before I hesitantly turn around to look at the sign again. No, it's beyond crazy. It's more like impossible. Even more for someone like me who's never left the city before. I mean, come on, let's be real. I wouldn't even last a day without proper Wi-Fi. I'd probably go insane or something. Oh, that is so real. That is so real. Yeah. My thoughts oppose my actions as I find myself standing once again in front of the sign. So why? As I reach out a hand to touch the words in front of me, I can't help but feel tears begin to prickle in my eyes. As I trace the words fresh, new start with my finger, I can feel my throat tighten. So why does something so ridiculous, so absolutely absurd, just sound like a dream to me right now? Why does a small act of kindness from a stranger have me feeling like this? All at once, it feels as if the weight of it all has finally caught up to me. I feel a lump form in my throat as I desperately try to swallow the forming emotions inside of me. Honestly, I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. It seems nothing ever goes the way I hope it will, and I don't really know what to do anymore. Somehow, it feels everything I do is hopeless. I let out a shaky breath as I hear a pair of slow footsteps approach me. I don't even attempt to hide the tears welling in my eyes as I slowly look up to see the old man's face from before. He shoots me a warm, sympathetic smile as he points to the flower in my hand.
You know, where I'm from, that flower there is usually given to people who leave on a journey.
It's a way to hope for prosperous new beginnings wherever they might find themselves.
Some might lose their way, but...
A flower is meant to remind them that no matter where along the path of life they might be,
They can always start again.
they can always start again. Exactly. As I stare into the old man's eyes, I can't help but smile for only the second time today. His words resonate deeply within my heart. I gaze into the beautiful petals of the flower in my hand, and for a second, just a second, it almost feels like they themselves are cheering me on. I feel a gentle hand place itself on my shoulder as I look up once again.
What's your name, Missy?
It's Aspen.
A fine name at that.
Aw.
Now then, tell me, are you interested in hearing more about the valley? It's never too late to start a brand new adventure, ain't it?
It never is. I chuckle as I wipe a few more stray tears from my eyes and nod my head resolutely. I am interested. Could you tell me more? And it fades to black. It's incredible how the decisions that have the power to change our lives completely seem to happen in the blink of an eye. And from those very decisions, the seeds of our futures sprout and bloom in the very lives set out before us.
Well, here we are. Welcome to the valley.
His name is Earl. Okay.
Is what I'd originally say, but
Unfortunately, our destination lies just beyond this here trail of tricks, as I call it. Oh no. I climb out of the passenger seat of Earl's truck as I look into a dense, steep mountain trail. Trail of tricks?
yep, this one's a bugger.
Oh, the guy asked her. Okay, so did she? The guy pretty much, she went up to the sign. The guy asked her if she wanted to go. And she was like, okay, fine. It's not that complex. Yup. And this one's a bugger for folks heading up into the valley. Gets real slippery due to the rain this time of year. We're gonna get dirty. However, for those crossing by foot, there's a short little forest path right through there that'll get you to the other side in less time than you can say moo. Yeah, she got into the van that said free candy. Will we be going by foot the rest of the way then? As much as I enjoy nature, I'd hate to leave my truck here to it, especially filled with all my flowers and veggies still on board.
Here's what we'll do.
You go on ahead through that path by foot, and I'll meet you on the other side once I get this darn truck over this here trail. Sound alright? But are you sure you can get the truck up there by yourself, Earl? Earl lets out a roaring laugh as he places his hands on his small, thin waist before patting the back of his truck.
Oh, you bet!
Me and old Bessie here have been together for a lot tougher than this. I'll tell you that. It just gets to be a real bumpy ride up there, and I'd hate for you to get all green and goobery on me. Besides, gets you warmed up for walking. You'll be doing lots of that where we're going. I can't help but chuckle as Earl's positive demeanor shines through my worries. She just fell off the turnip truck, guys. I nod my head and grab a small bag as I head towards the opening of the forest path he pointed out. Well then, I'll take your word for it. I'll head on through and see you in a bit.
It'll be a darn jiffy.
Make sure you stay on the path now, you hear? Can't be losing you in the forest on your move-in day. You see, I wouldn't know what to do with all your pink suitcases. They don't match my eyes one bit. Earl earns another laugh out of me as we wave to each other before I walk through a small open path between several bushes. Okay. As I walk through the dense shrubbery, I can make out a visible path heading towards an opening not too far away. I clutch my bag closer as I begin my trek while panning my head around to take in the sights. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen this much green before in my life. Even the air feels so different here. It feels so fresh. I walk forward a few more steps. If you see small blue people living in mushrooms, don't tell my cousin with the orange cat. He wants to eat them or something. La 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 la. I walk forward a few more steps as I take in the emerald scenery around me. Trees, plants, and flowers, from the likes I've never seen before, all seem to quietly bloom in place. I can hear the sound of leaves rustling in the wind as an incredibly calming sensation seems to reverberate through the entire area. This place feels so soothing, almost like it's... My inner monologue is interrupted as I unexpectedly bump into something soft. I bring my gaze forward, only to stare into the greenest pair of eyes I've ever seen. Is this our first potential love match? What? Surprised by the sudden proximity of a stranger peering into my face, I quickly step back, only to misstep and fall ungracefully on my butt. It is. Oh, he is such an... Oh, he is... Look at him. This is an otome dateable right here. This is... See, he sparkles. He sparkles. As I mutter a small groan, I look up to see the stranger chuckling softly to himself. Of course he is. Green hair? And what's with his clothes? He's a forest elf. The stranger extends a hand to me with a warm, silent smile. I eye it for a few moments before choosing to accept his help. With a strange amount of ease, the stranger helps me back up to my feet as I shyly gaze up at him. Despite his strange looks, he boasts a beautiful, almost ethereal visage. And somehow, it's as if just standing near him makes me feel incredibly calm. I can't help but catch myself staring as I quickly clear my throat. I'm sorry for bumping into you. I probably should have been watching where I was going. The stranger tilts his head as he shoots me another warm, silent smile. It'd be nice if you spoke a little bit, sir. My eyes instinctively widen as he suddenly reaches toward the side of my face before slowly pulling out a 4-leaf clover from thin air. Huh? A clover? Was it stuck in my hair or something? I tense up as the stranger gently grabs my hand and places it in the center of my palm without a word. I can't help but stare at the small clover for a few seconds before clearing my throat and looking back up. Thank you for the help. These usually represent good luck, don't they? The stranger nods at me while flashing me a silent smile, and this time I can't help but flash one of my own. So, are you from around here? What's your name?
Hey, kiddo! You over here yet?
I turn toward the opening of the path as the sound of Earl's voice booms through the quiet forest. $5 says a stranger's an avatar of nature. Yeah, I'm with you on that bet. I would bet the same thing. Several leaves seem to rustle as a few woodland creatures scatter about, rushing back into the trees. Just as I turn around to face the stranger, I find the spot he stood in just a second ago to be completely empty. What the? Oh, where'd he go?
Can you hear me? Don't tell me you actually got lost in there.
No, I'll be right there. My eyes dart around the dense greenery around me in a last-ditch attempt to spot any signs of the young stranger, but to no avail. He's gone, as if he vanished into thin air. And in the place he stood just mere seconds ago, small flowers now seem to be blooming from the ground. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, he is. Some kind of foresty protector. I shake my head of any strange thoughts as I focus my attention back towards Earl's voice and head to the end of the trail. Aw, it's pretty. My breath hitches as I stare out at the magical view that lies before me. Whoa! Rolling hills all covered in blooming flowers seem to stretch on forever as they all meet the silhouette of a distant town. From this elevation I marvel as both snowy looming mountains and a sparkling ocean also meet near the town to create a breathtaking display of nature. I can't help but break out into a genuine laugh as a slight breeze picks up and it seems as if all the flowers begin to dance in the wind around me. So poetic.
This here's my favorite part of the whole trip.
I'll bet. I look over to see Earl and his truck now parked beside me as he looks out over the view with a tender, loving smile.
Welcome to Peachleaf Valley.
Eee. Eee. Oh, we have an opening sequence, finally! Filled with doubt and fear, a young girl loses her path. But fate grants her another chance to turn over a new leaf. Right here in this faraway valley, where the sky, sea, and land meet. A brand new story is about to begin. So many guys. The main character. Glasses character. There's always a glasses character. An aristocrat, of course. He's probably a little bit snobby. Oh, the mysterious traveler. Alright. This is like the rough and tumble, like, cheerful dude. And all these cute people. Okay, maybe he's not as cute as everybody else, but yeah. Oh, and she's cute too, even though she's grumpy. Alright. So I don't think he's a dateable now. I think he's... Well, who's this guy? Okay, do those guys turn into the other guys? Hunter the farmer. Well, that's not confusing. Oh no, you're totally right. You're totally right. Now live on Kickstarter. Okay. Oh, it keeps going. That wasn't the end of it. That's nice. That's helpful. Earl opens the door to a quaint, fair-sized room as he beckons me inside. This feels Anne of Green Gables. Hunter the farmer.
Well, here we are. This'll be your room for the time being.
I have a room. Oh, Earl, are you sure about this? I feel like I'm imposing on you way too much. I'm perfectly fine with staying at the inn. I'll find a way to get some money together to pay for the room and...
Imposing schmosing.
You're a new resident of Peachleaf now, so you're basically part of the family. You'll find there isn't a whole lot of us down here, but we're a tight-knit community. We do our best to help one another.
And besides...
After you took the time to explain your situation to me, ain't no way I can turn a blind eye to someone in need. I was there once too, you know, and it's because someone believed in me and helped me get on my feet that I was able to get where I am today. So, basically, this is Stardew Valley if it was a visual novel. Yes. I think so. I've seen his cat, the dog, and he's his good buddies with Hiker the gardener. Sailor the baker. Now it's my turn. Now it's my turn down the line to help. I can't help but smile shyly as I touch the neatly made bed before me. I feel like such a burden already. You didn't charge me anything for the trip, and now you'll let me live in your house without even paying rent? I at least want to pay back that kindness somehow. I hope you can understand.
And you will, kiddo. But you gotta get back on your feet first.
Okay.
I know this room ain't the fanciest place.
In town, but I'm sure you'll want a home for yourself soon enough. But until we can get you settled into your new life here, you can at least rest your head at night worry-free. A wave of emotion washes over me as I feel tears of overwhelming gratitude threaten to fall from my eyes. I can't help but let out a shaky laugh as I timidly bow my head. Earl, thank you so much. I don't even know what to say. I feel a gentle hand ruffle my hair as Earl beams me a warm smile.
You're home now, kiddo.
No need for the waterworks.
You're part of the Peachleaf family now.
Aw. You'll find we don't have a lot of stuff you can find back in that big old city you came from. But we do got a whole lot of this. I can't help but giggle as Earl points to his heart. Seeing me smile, the old man chuckles and motions to a nearby closet. In case you find yourself missing anything, you'll find some clothes and garments that used to belong to my youngest daughter in there. She's terribly outgrown them by now, but maybe they'll serve you better than they did her. This room belonged to your daughter, Earl? Sure did. But she's got her own life far beyond this little valley now, so feel free to make this room your own. I can't help but glance around the small room. Even though it's not filled with a lot, I can tell everything has been taken care of really well. I turn towards Earl once more as my heart pings in my chest. Thank you, Earl. Thank you so much. I really don't know how to express how appreciative I am to you. You know, a few days ago, well, honestly, I thought I'd be homeless on the street by Monday morning. Or she did until she died in that snowplow accident. I didn't think I'd ever be starting a brand new life in such a beautiful valley. Earl chuckles as he shoots me a toothy grin before placing his hands on his hips.
That's the beauty of life. You never know where it'll take you.
Yours took you here.
Now on that note, let's go meet everybody.
The whole town got into a ruckus when I phoned them that we have a new resident coming in. You'll have plenty of time to unpack. Yeah, you have time to brush your teeth later. To unpack later, so let's get a move on. Okay, I'm excited. Let's go. I really don't know how to express how appreciative I am to you. Well, this dating sim had a certain rating. Oh, this is pretty. My eyes dart around the street of a lovely, bustling town that looks like it came straight out of the pages of a fairy tale book. You can tell because it has all the, what are they called? All the wooden features. Brrr. I watch as shopkeepers sweep the entrances to their stores with wooden brooms and greet each other warmly. Energetic smiles adorn the faces of small children as they run through the streets without a care in the world. Maybe Peachleaf is in Holland or somewhere in Europe. And everyone, absolutely everyone, wears a peaceful smile on their face. I think they're a little too happy. I'm wondering what they actually farm here. Maybe they're too happy for a reason. Earl stops to shoot me a grin as he himself scans the town around him with a proud expression. This is beautiful. What a charming place. Oh,
you ain't seen nothing yet. But, aha!
I know just where to start off our tour. How about you meet my wife and grandson first, since you'll be living with them under the same roof? The farming is a front for Oh, no. Yes, this is where the first song in a Disney movie would start. Little town, it's a quiet village. Every day, like the one before. Okay. Wife and grandson.
My wife runs the best and only bakery in town.
So, if you ever find yourself craving something sweet, you'll know just where to go. I want something sweet. I want something sweet right now. Rah! It's so cute. Look at that cute bakery. A soft bell rings out as I walk into a rustic little shop with a delicious smell wafting in the air. I can't help but feel my face light up as I take in the sight of beautifully colored pastries spanning down a glass counter. They all look kind of brownish to me. But that's okay. They're baked goods. Maybe there's something special in those baked goods.
Anybody home?
Maybe they're special brownies.
Well, well, look who it is. Back so soon from your trip, old man?
At the sound of an unfamiliar voice, I shyly peek over Earl's shoulder to spot a young man as he walks in through a set of kitchen doors. Small rays of sunlight shining in through the windows reflect off his amber-colored eyes, and as a kind smile dances on his face. Sailor the Baker!
There you are, Jude.
Hey, Jude! No, he's Jude! Hey, Jude. Don't be a baker. There you are, Jude. I was wondering who was running this bakery. Y'all can't just leave the front empty like this.
Relax, Gramps. Jeez, you've been back for less than a minute and you're nagging already? Gran's got something in the oven, and I was just finishing up an order in the back. And besides, you know it always gets kinda empty at this hour. No need for nags.
Just as Earl opens his mouth to say something, an old woman walks out through the kitchen doors with an excited smile on her face. He's gonna look like this guy when he gets old. It'll come out of nowhere, but then all of a sudden, that's him when he's old.
Oh, I thought I heard your voice, dear. You arrived just in time. I have a delicious carrot cake with your name on it in the oven.
Carrot cake!
Oh, pumpkin.
You're embarrassing me in front of the kiddos. I like carrot cake. Oh, I love carrot cake. Carrot cake is so good, especially with a really, really good, like, cream cheese frosting. Yum. Yum, yum, yum. I should make some carrot cake sometime soon.
Huh?
Kiddos? Earl beams a giant smile as he steps out of the way to reveal me standing behind him.
Nina, Jude, I'd like y'all to meet the newest resident of Peachleaf Valley.
Oh my.
Come on, don't need to be shy. Introduce yourself.
Right. Hello. I'm Aspen. I just moved here from the city, and I'm very excited to meet everyone. Thank you for having me.
What?
What? Well, aren't you an absolute delight? Let me take a good look at you, my dear. Grandpa, why is she wearing my mom's clothes? My nervousness begins to dissipate as Nina steps out from behind the counter and comes closer, beaming a friendly smile.
My name is Nina.
As you probably already noticed, I'm Earl's wife and I run this bakery. It's an absolute pleasure to make your acquaintance, Aspen. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for your hospitality and for letting me stay at your home for the time being. Oh, now, aren't you just the sweetest thing? You're very welcome, my dear. I know such a big move can be awfully nerve-wracking, but you've got nothing to worry about here. You're already part of the family. Nina takes my hands in hers as she says this, and I can feel my heart swell with happiness at this level of kindness I've never experienced before. The original dub of Ronin Warriors is on Tubi. Huh. Interesting. Tubi has a lot of good anime. Like, people should not be neglecting Tubi if they want, like, some of the good older animes. Because, man, they have good stuff on there. Thank you so much. I'm afraid I don't know what else to say. Well, you can start by telling me this.
Do you like sweets, dear?
Yes. Yes. I do. Butter pancake is my favorite. It is not my favorite. It is, don't speak for me. It is not my favorite.
Why? What a coincidence.
That's my little Jude's favorite dessert too, right, dear? Little Jude. I glance over at Jude still standing behind the counter, but raise an eyebrow when I see him gazing at me with an intense expression. I do today. Yeah. All right, I am going to be right back. Since we're on an ad break, I need to run to the restroom. I will be back toot sweet. Just because, you know, we're talking about sweets and everything. So yeah, I made some really good mocha chocolate chip cookies a few days ago. They are gone. They are all eaten up. They turned out really well, but it's my own recipe. So a lot of times if you make your own recipe, it's going to turn out well because you know how that recipe works. But yeah. Okay. Oakley dokily. And ad break is almost over in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Yay! Okay, let's continue. I glance over at Jude still standing behind the counter, but raise an eyebrow when I see him gazing at me with an intense expression. Oh no. It's that look. I think he has a crush. He doesn't even seem to register Nina's question as he simply stares at my face, almost as if desperately trying to decipher something.
Jude?
Jude?
Is everything all right, dear?
Oh no. Almost as if his grandmother's worried tone snaps him back to reality, Jude tears his gaze away from me before nervously looking back up. Or there's a booger in your nose. Oh god, I hope not. Oh my gosh. Let me check. No, I think I'm okay. I can't help but gulp as his eyes dart frantically between my own.
Sorry, I have to go. I need some air. I'll be back later.
He has such a, anime protagonist voice. With barely a moment's notice, Jude quickly walks out from behind the counter, brushes past me, and briskly exits the small shop.
Jude!
Jude, dear, where are you going?
Are those supposed to be donuts? Those are big. His grandparents' calls just fall on deaf ears as Jude quickly exits the shop in a hurry, not even glancing back once. Now he's embarrassed. An awkward silence falls on the shop for a few minutes as Nina and Earl exchange confused glances. What the heck was that about? I didn't say anything weird, did I?
Oh,
Oh, Aspen, please pardon my Jude. He's not usually like this at all. I wonder what got him so flustered.
Ha! I know!
Maybe he just couldn't handle how pretty Aspen was. I can feel my cheeks heat up as Earl's joke at the image of Jude's intense gaze on me makes a shiver run down my spine. Oh, poor thing. Poor thing.
oh, there's the carrot cake.
Yum!
Just in time.
Yum! That's what I want, the carrot cake. Earl, Aspen, why don't you both grab a chair and I'll bring it out with some warm milk? Just a second. Not without some help, you won't. I can't let my pumpkin do all the work around here. This is so me and Panda. We're already like this with each other. We are, already the old couple. It's so funny.
Oh, Earl.
They're so cute. I can't help but giggle at the wholesome banter between Earl and his wife as they lovingly take each other's hands and go towards the back. It fills my heart with delightful warmth to see two people love each other so deeply at such old age. Yeah, me and Panda, yeah. Once the pair is out of sight, I can't help but look over my shoulder at the direction Jude abruptly left moments ago. It almost seemed like he recognized me or something, but that can't be it. I mean, I've never been here before. That was just totally weird. I hope he's okay. Earl and I walk through the gates of a vast ranch as a clear blue sky shines above us. I can hear the cries of chickens and other farm animals in the distance as a fairly large-sized barn comes into view near a house. I can't help but smile as I spot several chickens grazing, watching as they curiously look over at me. It's such a beautiful day out, isn't it? The animals in this farm must be happy with such good grazing weather.
Now for our next stop. Welcome to Elderberry Farm.
Elderberry! Your father was a hamster, and your mother smelled of elderberry. It's a little strange, though. Heather and hubby are usually out here by this hour. Wait here a second, Aspen. I'm just gonna go check to see if they're home real quick. Be back in a jiffy. Watching as they curiously look over at me. I nod my head as Earl motions for me to wait in place. I turn around and walk a few places over to a small chicken pen and giggle as a cute little chick curiously looks up at me. Everybody's curious about the new person. Even the little cheepy chicks. Pew pew! Pew pew! Pew 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 pew! Aw, aren't you a cutie? I wonder what your name is.
Bessie!
Uh-oh. Huh? A loud yell in the distance captures my attention, snapping my head up toward the source of the sound. Suddenly, the ground feels as if it started shaking as the nearby chickens all frantically run in the opposite direction. What the? Tremors?
Bessie, get back here, god damn it!
Oh no, we're about to be rammed by a bull. I turn around at the sound of a loud cry as I catch sight of a rampaging cow heading straight towards me at lightning speed. The cow is quite large in size and its eyes seem to be glowing red as smoke comes out of its nose. Oh god, what's gonna happen, you guys? What? A cow? How is it so fast I can't move out of the way at this rate? I close my eyes instinctively as I brace myself for the impact before another voice shouts out.
Hey, watch out!
I feel a strong force propel me backwards as I fall to the ground. The enraged cow cries as she races past where I stood seconds ago, dust fluttering in her trail. Tremos! Somebody call Bert Gummer! Tremors! It's Hunter the farmer! After a few moments, I open my eyes and feel my face turn beet red as I see hands pressed against a strong, well-defined chest hovering over me. He's a potential. I can feel my pulse go racing as the feeling of muscular arms wrapped around my waist shock me back into reality. What?
Sorry about that, miss. Are you okay? You're not hurt anywhere, are you?
I look up to stare into ocean blue eyes. You know it's an otome game when somebody describes eyes as ocean blue. As a young man stares back worryingly at me. I'm fine.
Phew, I'm glad to hear it. Sorry for the tumble. Let's get you back on your feet, yeah?
The cool breeze flutters against my skin as the young man releases me from his strong grasp, pushing himself up. My heart stammers in my chest as I sit absent-mindedly on the ground for a few seconds trying to process the situation. Muscles, so many muscles. My attention is diverted as a hand extends itself toward me. I look up to see the young man from before, shooting me a friendly smile.
There are much better places to take a rest than on the ground, you know.
Sensing his kindness, I shyly place my hand in his as he lifts me to my feet with ease. I find myself stammering as he proceeds to kneel down to brush some dirt off from my clothes. He flashes another friendly smile afterwards.
There we go. Good as new.
Now then.
Can I help you?
Oh, there she is, my big old Dairy Queen.
Why does Earl interrupt us so often? The sound of Earl's excited yelling grabs both my and the stranger's attention as we turn around to see Earl being smothered in kisses from the previously raging cow.
Oh, you darn love bucket, you. Did you miss me, Bessie?
Oh no! Bessie's the other woman. The young man next to me tilts his head back in laughter at the affectionate display.
Of course. I should have known it was you, Earl.
No one else gets that Bessie that riled up. That's because I'm her one and only true love. Ain't that right, Bessie? Okay. I can't help but smile as Earl begins to walk over to us with a now tame, calm, and slightly blushing cow.
How have you been, Hunter, my boy?
Taking good care of my sweet, innocent little angel here, right? Of course, Earl. Although I'm afraid she's not nearly as innocent as you think, you know.
She nearly ran over this poor young lady.
Over here, a few minutes back. As Hunter looks back at me with a sheepish smile, I can't help but feel my cheeks heat up again thinking back to our previous close encounter. Oh my.
Bessie!
You can't be running over your new neighbor before I've had a chance to introduce y'all.
Now then.
Hunter, where is everyone else?
Mom and Hubie went to the city to visit some friends.
But they should be back soon.
Elderberry Farm's down to 1 today, I'm afraid.
Oh, gotcha. Well then, no matter. Aspen, this is Hunter. Hunter, this is Aspen. She's Peachleaf's newest resident.
And this here's Big Bessie.
My one true love. Ain't nobody out there can hold a candle to my sweet Bessie.
Oh, is that so? Huh.
I'll be sure to tell Nina when I see her.
Don't you dare, farm boy.
I can't help but chuckle as I wave over to the large animal by Earl's side. Hi there, Bessie. Nice to formally meet you. And nice to meet you too, Hunter. Thank you for the help back there.
My pleasure. Sorry about Bessie. As you can probably tell, she, gets real excited when Earl's around.
She probably caught a whiff of him when you guys got here.
Well, that's because she loves me. Ain't that right, Bessie?
She loves him. What kind of dating sim is this anyway? I know, like, it sounds more like Earl here gets all the action. Everybody else is like, I don't... I can't help but giggle at Earl and Bessie's endearing exchange. A few moments pass before I catch a sight of Hunter's eyes on me. He wipes a hand on his pants before extending it out to me with a smile.
Welcome to the valley.
Thank you. I hope your new life here will pan out exactly as you hoped it would. And if you ever find yourself in need of anything, feel free to reach out. Oh, thank you, Hunter. I appreciate it. Truly.
No worries. We're all a giant, crazy family down here.
One big, happy family.
Albeit maybe a bit dysfunctional, too.
That's not too bad. No, not dysfunctional. Just silly.
Oh, by the way.
I also work part-time at the restaurant and do odd jobs around town, so you might see me running around often.
Don't be afraid to ask for directions if you ever get lost, okay?
This place can be a bit of a maze for newcomers at first. Right, thanks. I definitely will.
Sounds good. Now then, if you'll excuse me. Back in the barn, Bess! You big troublemaker, you!
That was not a happy moo. The sound of laughter fills the air as Bessie hides behind Earl from Hunter. Yeah, that'll work. I feel a sense of warmth fill my heart as I get to unravel more and more of the valley. As we approach the entrance of a quaint flower shop, Earl shoots me a smile while he opens the door for me. Now, I'm sure you're probably dying to meet someone you can relate with, so I want to take you to meet Miss Amelia. She's a real kind girl. Runs this shop with her nutty old grandma. Seems to be about your age, too, so I'm sure y'all can be great friends. As we walk into a beautiful flower shop, a sweet scent fills my senses, and I can't help but breathe in. I look around to see gorgeous flowers, some the likes I've never seen before, all blooming through even the tiniest cracks in the wood.
Eh? Skylar? Is that you?
Hearing the confusion in Earl's voice, I turn to stare into the profile of a tall, foreign-looking man. It's him! The man doesn't seem to have noticed Earl as he paces back and forth, seemingly deep in thought.
Gefähr.
Oh no, he's French. He's French, guys. But Skylar is not a very French name. J'ai besoin d'un miracle assez rythmé. J'ai besoin d'un miracle assez rythmé. My French is not so great. I think he's saying he needs a miracle. Good timing. I don't know. The tall man continues to mutter to himself before Earl approaches him, waving his hand.
Skylar?
Hello? You listening? The foreign man's attention snaps up at the sound of his name. He looks over before shooting Earl a friendly smile.
Ah, Monsieur Earl! You've returned from your trip. Welcome back. Oh.
Tag in, Panda. Yeah. Before he can finish his sentence, the foreign man's eyes land on me. Our eyes meet for a few silent moments before I muster a shy smile. But before I have the opportunity to even get a word out, I watch in surprise as a tall, slender man dashes forward towards me. I blink in surprise as I watch him grab one of my hands and places a kiss to the back.
And just who is this
Oh
breathtaking
no!
mademoiselle?
He's one of those! Oh no! He's one of those! Huh? Before I can even answer, the tall man gets down on one knee. His eyes seem completely fixated on me as a radiant smile graces his lips.
Mademoiselle, I may not know your name, but I know that your beauty is the envy of every flower in this shop.
He's one of those.
You outshine even the most beautiful rose on the eve of its full bloom.
Okay.
Why, even the most fragrant of blossoms holds no comparison to your...
Sure.
All right. Let's take it down a notch here, Romeo.
Let the poor girl at least introduce herself, eh? The man named Skylar's eyes widen dramatically as he rises to his feet before bowing deeply.
Forgive my terrible manners.
Mais, bien sûr. Monsieur Earl is right. Forgive my terrible manners. How could I ask for your name when I have not graced you with my own? To these romantics, one word. Decaf. I agree.
I am Skylar Dutoit Eclair Jean-Jacques Pelletoir the Ninth, a proud resident of this magnificent valley.
Eclair.
And you are?
I'm Aspen. I, just moved into the valley today. It's nice to meet you, Skylar. No, but the pleasure is most definitely mine, Lady Aspen. You're a spectacle to behold.
Oui, en effet.
Like a marbled statue that has come to life. How truly blessed is Peachleaf to welcome you. Oui, en effet. Thank you? I think? And you are irritated. Thanks for asking. Earl lets out a chuckle at Skylar's theatrics. After a few moments, he looks around the shop before turning around with a puzzled expression. Skylar, where's Amelia and Fiona? Why are you the only one here? That is because Madame Fiona's stomach is causing her to feel unwell yet again.
Lady Amelia asked me to watch over the shop.
As they quickly left to fetch some herbs for the gardens to brew tea. And as the noble gentleman that I am, there is no way I could simply decline such a heartfelt request at the beckoning of a lady.
Although, I must admit...
It's been quite some time since they left. Perhaps I should go check on them?
But alas!
No one would be able to guard the shop and keep the beautiful flowers company better than moi. Fiona's stomach is acting up again, is it? Alright, I better go check up on him a sec. Gardens ain't too far from here. Aspen, you wait here just a moment, alright? I'll be right back. I open my mouth to call out to Earl, but he's already briskly walked out through the front door. I feel an intense gaze on me as I swallow and turn to look at Skylar, whose eyes seem to sparkle as would a puppy's looking for a treat.
So, what brings you to this fair valley, my lady? Surely a beauty such as yourself must have left a lot behind to come here so suddenly.
Don't leave me with the walking restraining order! I smile sadly as I look down before tucking a loose strand of hair behind my ear. Less than you think. I came here looking for work, and well, a new life, if I'm honest.
Oh, I see. Forgive my prying, my lady.
I did not mean to paint sadness on such a stunning canvas as your own.
After all, a smile suits you much, much better.
Skylar walks over before grabbing a nearby flower and holding it to my face. He shoots me a warm smile as he gently hands it to me. I can't help but chuckle as I grab the flower. Thank you, Skylar. What about yourself?
Ha ha!
I am thrilled to have piqued your interest enough to ask. My French accent is better than his, and I don't have a very good French accent. I am but a humble art collector that lives in the northern part of town on an estate that belongs to my family. An art collector?
Oui.
Few things in this world excites the blood in my veins like beautifully crafted artistic masterpieces. And of which, on that note... Skylar's tone seems to shift as he suddenly places a hand on his chin and looks at me. I fidget nervously under his intense gaze as he begins to circle around me, eyeing me up and down as if scrutinizing something. After a few moments, he shoots me a pleased smile before reaching into his suit pocket and handing me a business card. Heat rushes to my cheeks as his face suddenly draws near and his eyes peer intensely into my own.
You said you were looking for employment, yes?
I'm sure there are many opportunities for you to take in this fair town, but...
As the muses would have it, I too am looking for a employee of sorts.
Okay, this is going to be one of the storylines. We take a job with him. So we may work in the bakery, we may work on the farm with Hunter the farmer, we may work for Skylar. His eyes seem to land on my lips a few moments as he smiles and looks back up. And I assure you, I can pay most handsomely in currencies that far outweigh most of the other residents in this town.
What say you, my lady? Does my offer interest you?
Yes, I want money. My mind goes blank and my heart accelerates as I feel him lean in even closer. Yes, I want money. When suddenly his phone rings. Perfect.
Excusez-moi, 1 second. Bonjour, this is Skylar.
Oh, hello, Monsieur Moncello. I have been expecting your call. As Skylar turns around and nonchalantly laughs into his phone, I stumble backwards into the counter as my heart nearly beats out of my chest, remembering his looming proximity just seconds ago. I don't want to say it. Social distancing! What's with this man? He's something else. Aw, look, and she's all cute. The sound of the front door ringing catches my attention as Earl walks in with a smile, accompanied by a young woman and an older one with a cane.
We're back.
Skylar shortly ends his call before turning around with a gallant smile.
Ah, you have returned! Magnifique!
Just at the right time, as I'm afraid I must be going immediately.
Of course. Sorry we took so long.
Thanks for the help, Skylar.
No.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for trusting me to guard your dazzling I almost said dazzling bosoms. Blossoms.
Well, everyone, duty calls, and so I must depart. Au revoir, until we next meet again!
He is a character. Everyone in the shop merely stares at Skylar as he prances out the front door in joyful strides. Prance! I clear my throat before looking down at the card in my hand with his name and address. He's, quite an interesting person. My attention is focused on the new faces that have entered the shop as they turn towards me.
Oh, hello there. You must be the new resident, right? It's so nice to finally meet you. Welcome to Peachleaf Valley. My name is Amelia. I run this flower shop with my grandmother, Fiona.
That would be me. Welcome to the valley, child.
She looks suspicious. I hope you don't already want to go running for the hills after being sandwiched between Earl and Skylar in a single day. Yeah, see you later, Clouseau.
And just what's that supposed to mean?
I'm plenty friendly.
As friendly as a badger stuck in a beehive.
Heaven knows how much you've yapped the poor girl's ear off already.
Why, you...
I don't think she likes Earl. As Earl and Fiona engage in a glaring match with each other, Amelia scoots over next to me before giggling. Don't mind them, they're always like this. They've been rivals ever since they started out as farmers. I can tell. Oh, I see. Ha. It makes sense then. They must have a lot of history.
You've been touring town all day with Earl, right?
You must have run into a lot of new faces by now, huh? Yes, everyone's been awfully kind, and the town's just lovely. Isn't it? Sometimes it feels like we're a little out of the way from the rest of the world, but the sights of the valley really make up for it. Suddenly, the image of the green-haired stranger I bumped into in the forest trail resurfaces in my mind. Kiva! Hi! How you doing? Back when they were mimes, they were besties. Suddenly, the image of the green-haired stranger I bumped into in the forest trail resurfaces in my mind. I tilt my head curiously as I motion towards Amelia. I'm good. Actually, does a green-haired young man live here?
Huh?
Green-haired? Yeah. See, I sort of ran into him in the forest path on the way to town. He had long green hair and was, wearing some strange robes. I thought maybe he worked in town or something, but I haven't seen him again.
Sorry.
I've been living in this town my whole life, but I've never run into anyone that fits that description here.
Ran into one of the spirits, did you?
Fiona knows. Fiona's voice captures my attention as she walks towards me with her cane. Spirits?
Our valley is home to much more than what you merely see on the surface. Inside of its forest, peaks, and waters lie many hidden secrets. It is said spirits of the earth, sky, and sea make their home here as well. You would do well to respect their domains.
Did she? For should you anger them, terrible calamities will befall this entire world, and even the fabric of nature can be.
Oh, there you go again with the ghost stories, Fiona. Haven't I told you 1,000 times it ain't good for tourism?
It is good for tourism if they're handsome spirits.
And how many times have I told you they are not ghosts? Arr.
Just because the spirits have never chosen to grace a fool like you with their benevolence doesn't mean that they do not dwell amongst us.
Who you calling a fool, you old hag?
Hag?
Who else, you uncultured toolhead?
Oh boy. Here we go again. Would you like some tea? We might be here a while.
Oh, I'd love some. Allow me to lend a hand. Yeah, people would go nuts. As we exit the flower shop, I can't help but look out towards the expansive blue sky above us. Somehow it doesn't even feel like it's the same sky as I used to see in the city. The sound of Earl muttering to himself catches my attention as I see him looking around several buildings while fiddling with his mustache. Let's see here. Where should we stop by next? I think there's one more character we have to meet. As I open my mouth to respond, I'm interrupted by the distant cheers of a small crowd. I look around to see various townspeople running towards a street corner nearby with wide grins on their faces. Come on, hurry or we'll miss the show! The show? Oh, he's performing today, is he? Performing? Who is? I tell ya, and I can show ya. Come on, Aspen, or we'll miss it. Earl briskly turns a street corner, and my eyes widen. A fair-sized crowd is gathered right in the middle of a small plaza, laughing and clapping in awe at someone in the middle of the space. What's going on over there? From here, it's hard to see anything with so many people gathered around.
Hey, over here!
I look over to see Earl point to some nearby stairs that lead up to a balcony. He climbs a few and then motions me over before glancing at the crowd. A smile plasters on his face as he crosses his arms.
Take a look. You wouldn't want to miss this.
He just flipped the picture. As I turn to see where the crowd gathers, I can't help but stare in awe at a slender, young, dark-skinned young man in colorful exotic garb dances elegantly. He's a dancer. The young man shoots the crowd a smile as he continues his performance. Many of the crowd's faces, which appears to be mostly women, all cheer as he moves back and forth through the space. Suddenly, he pulls out red banners of decorated velvet seemingly out of nowhere as he throws them in the air and backflips before catching them. Whoa, what a beautiful person. I don't think I've ever seen someone move so elegantly. The crowd cheers as he shows off more and more impressive dance moves mixed with incredible acrobatics and magician-like tricks. I find myself slowly peering over the rails in excitement as I gaze down. At one point, the performer motions the crowd to step back before slowly arching his body and breathing out rose-colored fire from his mouth. Wow, I've never seen anything like this before. Ain't that right?
He's something else, ain't he?
Knows how to please a crowd, that's for darn certain. The crowd goes wild as the young performer dances and does more and more tricks, mixing different elements to create a riveting performance. After a while, the performer bows, now covered in a light layer of perspiration as the crowd roars and claps. As he looks up, sweat dripping from his hair, the townspeople begin to throw coins and flowers at his feet, in appreciation for his colorful and avant-garde performance.
Shukran jazilan. Thank you.
I can't help but laugh in delight as Earl and I clap from our spot on the stairs, too. Earl begins to whistle and I clap loudly next to him as I watch the performer accept more and more coins humbly. Eventually, he pans up to where Earl and I stand, and his gaze meets mine. Wow, he really is gorgeous. I feel my heart skip a beat as the performer shoots me a small, mysterious smile before turning around to collect all the coins and flowers. Earl and I eventually make our way down the stairs as the crowd begins to disperse. Suddenly, Earl turns to me with a smile as he motions towards a different direction.
Oh, I know. Let's stop by the inn next.
Oh, Duke will yap my ear off if I didn't properly introduce y'all. As Earl began to walk forward down an opposite direction of the plaza, I follow him. But I can't help but find myself staring back in the direction of the performer, who is now surrounded by several young women from the town eagerly showering him in compliments. Oh, he's popular. The performer's eyes briefly meet mine again, and I can feel myself blush as I quickly face forward and run up to catch up with Earl. As we walk in through the doors of a rustic yet large wooden inn, a middle-aged man wiping down a counter turns to face us with a smile.
Well, I was wondering when you'd show up, Mr. Mayor.
You see, This guy's quite handsome right here. Why is he not one of the options? Because I know he won't be. Mayor?
Aw, come on now, Duke.
How many times have I told you to stop calling me that? Unless you'd prefer if I started calling you Doctor?
Well met.
Although in my case, it's different. I'm retired. I turn my head to look at Earl curiously as the previous comment catches my attention. Earl, wait. You're Peachleaf's mayor?
Well...
Something like that, I guess. These crazy old folk voted me one for a few decades ago, and I don't know what's worse. An old kook like me governing this little valley, or the nutcases who voted for it in the first place. The man behind the counter lets out a hearty laugh as he shakes his head. Then I suppose I'm be one of those honorary nutcases. Ha ha ha. The man suddenly turns to me with a smile as he extends a hand out for a shake.
Name's Duke. Welcome to Peachleaf.
Nothing like getting elected for a job you don't want. Yep.
I run this inn with the help of a few employees. Earl's gone ahead and given me the rundown already.
Thank you, sir. My name is Aspen. It's nice to meet you.
Likewise.
I hope Peachleaf turns out to be a change for the good for you, Aspen.
The city life isn't for everyone, after all. I know that best.
Interesting. Oh, you're from the city too, Duke?
He sure is. Although, that was ages ago now, right, Duke? You know, back when the dinosaurs roamed and stuff.
The dinosaurs. He could be. Hey, you know, we stand a really cool gay innkeeper for sure.
All right, you old codger. I'm not that old yet. You've got me beat by at least a good 30 years.
As Earl and Duke laugh amongst themselves, I can't help but chuckle at their light-hearted banter. Have you two known each other for a long time?
Too long.
Way too long.
I've known this overgrown lughead for about 25 years now. Saw him go from a princely teenager to an overprotective father to a wrinkly old grouch.
Now then.
Where's little Melody? I'd like to introduce her to Aspen. Up in her room, throwing a tantrum and calling me a tyrant all because I made her do her biology homework. Dude sounds like Markiplier a little bit. Earl shoots his head back in laughter and then gives Duke a knowing look. Teenagers, eh?
God.
I've been sleeping with him for 10. Raising one teenage girl is enough stress to last a man a lifetime. You're telling me I raised 3! Suddenly their conversation is interrupted at the sound of the front door opening. My eyes widen as the young performer from before silently walks into the room carrying a giant load of neatly wrapped flowers.
Ah, there you are, Nadim. I was hoping to run into you.
What a show that was! The young man named Nadim shoots Earl a kind smile as he walks over to us. I can feel myself instinctively freeze up as he stands next to me and slightly bows his head at Earl.
I thank you for taking the time to watch my performance, Earl. I hope it brought a smile to your face.
If only I was 40 years younger, I'd be out there busting a move with you.
I'm sure you would, Earl.
Like a whoo, wah, or a ha-choo, whoo. Ow!
Oh no, now he needs a chiropractor. We all instinctively approach Earl as he places a hand on his back, but quickly gives us a sheepish grin. Duke sighs before shaking his head as Nadim tries to stifle a genuine laugh. Thank you, Earl. I appreciate your words. They bring me joy. Not as much joy as you bring to everyone in town with your performances, so thank you, Nadim.
The honor and pleasure is all sincerely mine. Now, if you'll excuse me, I should be going.
I must quickly find a vase and water for these beautiful flowers, lest they wilt before their time. Just before Nadim has a chance to escape, Earl quickly motions to me. Oh, before you go, Nadim, this is Aspen. She'll be living in our valley starting today. I'm taking her around to introduce her to our little town. Oh, I see. Please pardon my rudeness. I thought of you as merely a passing traveler, not as a new neighbor. Just as I'm about to open my mouth, Nadim shoots me a smile and bows his head at me.
My name is Nadim. I am not originally from Peachleaf, but nonetheless, it is where my travels have taken me.
I hope this valley will become a place you wish to cherish on your own travels, as it has for me. Thank you. My name is Aspen. It's nice to meet you, Nadim. I saw your performance earlier with Earl. It was wonderful. You're so beautiful. Nadim seems to blink unexpectedly at my blunt compliment, and I find myself going cherry-faced at my unexpected confession. I meant the performance. The performance was beautiful. That is not to say that you aren't beautiful too. Sees the tan that says you get more sun than the farmers, and the outfit that says you're richer than the farmers. Yeah, don't say. Right. Nadim's lips curved into an amused grin, and he lets out another laugh. He smiles at me as he bows his head again.
I am appreciative of your words. You are far too kind.
I hope you'll come watch me perform again sometime.
Well then, I shall get going. I wish you all a wonderful evening.
A wonderful evening. I can't help but feel my face heat up as Nadim walks up the stairs of the inn. I bite my lip as I watch him leave before turning my face to face the ground. Wait, that's dialogue. That's forward. Okay. You idiot. You just outright called him beautiful. Ugh, I'm so embarrassed.
Evening? Oh, by Bessie's sake, he's right.
Look how late it's already gotten. As Earl points outside a window, I can spot the golden hues of sunset beginning to creep into the sky. A nearby clock chimes, signaling the start of a new hour as Duke straightens up before wiping his hands.
And there's the clock.
I hate to leave you folks, but I need to get ready to open the bar. And I need to take Aspen home in time for dinner, or Nina will have my head. Well then, Duke, I'll come back another time to see Melody. It was nice meeting you, Duke. Thank you again.
Pleasure's all mine. And once again, welcome to the valley.
It has Christmas decorations. Is this gonna be a Christmas story? As I finally finish unpacking the last of my belongings, I can't help but stare out at my newly organized room. Whew, finally done unpacking. As I sit on the bed and touch the soft blanket under me, I can't help but smile, recalling the day's events and the many faces I met. There are definitely a few interesting personalities today, but wow, everyone here really is so warm and kind. It's incredible to think just how different my life and surroundings were barely 3 nights ago. As I gaze out toward the shining moon outside, I can't help but feel my smile begin to fade. Even with an overall pleasant day, the nervousness of being in a brand new environment, so far away from the place I've called home, my entire life is still very much around. Despite my best efforts to keep my mind busy, I shortly come to realize that every moment I'm alone, I'm flooded with doubts and questions I don't know how to answer. Did I make the right choice? Was coming here the best decision? Do I truly even belong here? Suddenly, a small knock at my door interrupts my thoughts, and I hear Earl's muffled voice call out from the other side. Aspen, can I come in? Yes, go ahead. A few moments later, Earl peeks his head in before shooting me a friendly smile. He walks inside and closes the door behind him. Turning around, his gaze lands on my now empty suitcases.
All settled in?
I was going to come by and ask if you needed help with anything. Yep, I'm all unpacked. Thank you again, Earl, for everything. Earl peers into my face for a few seconds as I try to flash him my best smile, attempting to hide my previous anxiousness. After a few moments, he chuckles before taking a seat next to me on the bed. Still got the jitters, huh, kiddo? No, I'm fine, really. Everyone's been absolutely wonderful. You've all done so much for me. I don't even have any right to complain. I'm just a little tired and
You don't know if you belong here.
I raise my head in surprise as Earl merely smiles warmly back at me. I can feel my throat tighten as I tear my gaze to the floor. How did you... Earl chuckles at the remark.
You see all these wrinkles and white hairs on this balding head? They ain't there just for fun, you know.
He doesn't look like he's balding.
From living and learning and growing.
Earl takes in a deep breath as he looks around the room nostalgically before his eyes land on the moon. The face you have on right now, it's the same face each of my daughters had when they told me they wanted to move away from the valley. The same face they had when they told me, Papa, I'm scared. And they didn't know if leaving home, leaving all they ever knew behind in this little valley, was going to be good for them.
And do you want to know what I told them? Home is right here.
I can't help but smile as Earl lightly taps on his heart. His eyes grow warm at the sight of my smile, and he places a reassuring hand on my shoulder.
It doesn't matter where you end up in life, kiddo.
You can be in a giant city or a tiny village in the middle of nowhere. But as long as you wake up each day and look forward to the world around you,
then you found your home.
Then you found your home.
Peachleaf may not be your last stop, but maybe it can help you find out what it really means to belong somewhere.
Aww. I feel tears prickle my eyes again as I nod happily. I can't help but laugh, quickly wiping away the tears as a hand ruffles my hair. Thank you, Earl. It doesn't matter where you end up in life, kiddo, because you will die.
Be patient with yourself. My ma always used to say that we're all like little saplings, growing and sprouting at our own paces and in our own directions. But don't hold yourself back from blooming just because you're not sure where your petals might fall.
I smile as I turn to look at the flower Earl gave me a few days ago, now adorning a small vase in the corner of my room, blooming beautifully in place. You're right. I may not know what the future holds, and there's a lot of questions I've yet to answer about who I am, who I want to be, and what my place is in this world. But there's no way I can start off on the right foot without at least trying to put my best foot forward, right?
Now that's what I like to hear. And you have all of us here at the Valley to support you.
Aw. Which also leads to my next question for ya. I notice Earl turns around before digging into his pockets and pulling out a few help-wanted flyers and laying them on my lap. Now that you're moved in, you gotta decide where you'd like to start working. Luckily, you came at the right time, so you got options. I can definitely put in a good word for you, so go ahead and choose where you like your official new life in Peachleaf to begin. If only it were that easy. You guys, I want it to be that easy. I'm looking for a day job. I want it to be that easy. Where should I start working? At the bakery with Jude, at the farm with Hunter, at the inn with Nadine, at the estate with Skylar. Okay, you guys, help me choose. Which one? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Choose! We all do. We all do. I know. I know, Wit. I know. Alright, which one? No whammies. Stop. I don't know. Should I just move this around until you... Okay. Okay. Alright.
Oh, picking me, are you? A marvelous choice you won't soon regret.
Oh no. I didn't know, this isn't my fantasy. Yeah. All right, that was the demo. 2, milord, 2. Thank you for playing our demo for Peachleaf Valley Seeds of Love. I don't get to do anything more. Please help make this game a reality by supporting us on Kickstarter and sharing it with your friends and family. No, the point is to work away from the walking restraint in order. I know. I had my eyes closed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had my eyes closed. There's a lot more fun to be had and many more adventures awaiting around the corner. Follow us on social media for the latest updates, giveaways, goodies, and more Peachleaf fun. See you in the valley. That was actually a lot of fun. And it's fading. And it's fading. What? The wind howls atop a cold mountain peak. From this desolate place, it only seems to shelter the clouds and remnants of an era long lost to time. A lone figure watches all below him. His scarlet-colored hair is stark against the colorless sky, as another breeze seems to pass him by, almost as if whispering into his ear. Another pair of footsteps suddenly echo out from behind him, followed by a commanding voice.
Have you sensed it? A shift in the earth has occurred.
The lone figure only lets out a low chuckle as he brings his hand forward, as if to grab something in front of him from thin air, before turning around.
How foolish of you to even ask. Why, it's almost as if you forget who I am.
I'm sure they're different elements. I bet he's water. He's probably fire. The guy in the forest is probably earth. The end of April for their release. Ah, that's coming up soon.
For the winds, they whisper everything to me.
In his hand now dances a small clover, as its tiny leaves twist and bend in the wind. The figure lets out another chuckle as he brings his eyes to face the dark-haired man in front of him.
Although, the shift is not the only piece of news they have brought with them. Why, it seems we have a new arrival in the valley. See for yourself.
With a lift of his finger, the winds dance at his command. In an instant, a sculpture made of clouds now resembling a young woman's face floats between them. The other man scowls as he eyes the clouded sculpture with disdain.
It's just another human. What importance could she possibly bear to our conversation?
A low laugh emerges from the figure as, with another lift of his fingers, the cloud sculpture of the young woman floats back to where he is. With a smirk, the figure glides his finger over the sculpture's cheek. Eeeh!
You've always been so awfully impatient, haven't you, dearest brother? Because I'd ponder to think that the shift and her arrival, well, perhaps the two may not yet be so unrelated.
Interesting.
Impossible. A mere human can play no part in the affairs of spirits.
Perhaps not. And yet, take a closer...
What is it with gods picking on these small rando towns for the fate of humanity? What if they pick the redneck of rednecky places? I know, seriously. As the figure moves his finger in the air, the sculpture floats in the opposite direction. The dark-haired man narrows his eyes, and suddenly he catches sight of a faint, gleaming green light emanating off the young woman's forehead.
Eden! That bastard! When did he...
Interesting, isn't it? With barely a foot into our domains, and the land has already bestowed its protection over her.
We're blessed by the land.
It sends quite the message, don't you think?
I see no being worth protecting. Only the naive acts of a fool that does not know his place.
A low rumbling laugh escapes the lips of the scarlet-haired figure, which seems to shake the entire mountain itself. A howl of wind seems to cry out in the distance, as with a snap of his fingers. The sculpture of the young woman's face disintegrates into the air, and left in its place is only a small, glowing clover. Both figures turn their gaze on the horizon as they look out over the vast expanse below them.
Worry not, for the winds, they will reveal all in due time. Until then, come, let us watch how the rest of this story shall unfold itself.
Okay. Meanwhile, a figure turns to gaze toward the horizon.
The earth, she trembles, just as she did all those years ago. What could this mean? A simple coincidence, or a sign of something yet to come?
But if she chooses to work with the French prick, kill her. Alright, you have reached the end of the public demo for Peachleaf Valley. Follow on social media. Got it. Got it! Well, hey, look! We did it! We did it! So we have a little extra time, so I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to show you what I did a few days ago in House Flipper, because I finished mine and Panda's house. So I'm going to show you guys. Hang on just a second. All right, there it goes. Ah, no, hang on. Hang on. Okay. Properties. House Flipper game. Okay. There we go. Hang on a sec. Doobadoo-doo. Doobadoo-doo. Okay, let me fix the properties here for a second. House Flipper. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you guys what I did. What I did for the house. Remember how ugly that was? How pink? How disgustingly, disturbingly pink that was? You're going to see how freaking cozy it is in just a moment. I know how to make a house a home. Alright, it is finally done. Look at this. Look at this. You've got some cozy rugs and a nice cozy couch and a nice little chair to read at. It's so nice. I'm so proud of myself. I put a little football because Panda often watches football and TV with his dad. And, you know, I made sure to have some books over here so I can read. And so I have these. You find the home, she makes the insides. Yes, yes. So I have these 3 plants. And there's a reason I have those 3 plants. Do you know what these plants are called? So I'm going to tell you. So an aspen is a type of plant. And there is a version of the aspen plant called the Dracaena. So unknowingly, my name is actually the name of a plant. And they actually have it in this game. So I went ahead and put a bunch of them in. And, you know, here's my nice little office with all my books and all my stuff. I'm so proud of myself. I did such a good job. I think I did such a good job. I did change some things in here. I realized I needed some tile behind the shower. And yes, there we go. And I also did the hallway. I put up a lot of posters and paintings. So, you know, there's a castle in the background because I'm a dragon. There's some art. And I did some art up here. So, sunflower. Actually, one of my favorite pieces of art is the sunflower painting by Van Gogh. And then look, there's an owl, B and A. We need to change it so it says P and A, Panda and Aspen, and some cherry blossoms. So yeah, I'm really proud of this little house I made. It's so cute. There's the bedroom again. I'll make the bed. Okay, that bed makes itself. And then there's Panda's office again. I put in some blinds for him. Yeah, so everything turned out really well. I'm really proud of myself. The thing that kind of sucks in this game is when you buy houses and you have to design them so certain people will buy them. You can't always fix them up exactly how you want them to in order to make the most money, which really, really sucks. So, it's nice to be able to find some houses where I can fix them up the way I want them to. Like, I've been working on a house that's driving me nuts because I have to change it for this guy who wants it to be cheap and rentable. And I'm like, no. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I made this cute little house for me and Panda. Alright. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it for the night. So let's exit here. And let's find somebody to raid. Let's see, who is up to something fun. IRL, you can do that, but 9 times out of 10, the house is dilapidated. Yeah. Let me see. Who is playing what? Oh, we can go say hi to Austin. Austin might like if we come to say hi. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Digi, and everybody. I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. And yeah. So let's go raid Austin. We haven't really raided him in a while, and I'm not sure. Oh, he's playing Fortnite. Okay. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Bye.